Have you ever wondered how light affects our health and hormones? It's a question that's been asked for centuries, yet the answer remains elusive and often misunderstood. In the realm of science, the popular belief is that the effects of light are confined primarily to the retina and the pineal gland. This belief is based on the understanding that these two organs are specifically designed to respond to light, acting as a sort of evolutionary third eye. But this view leaves a glaring omission in the broader story of how light interacts with our bodies. The mainstream scientific community has often shied away from the idea of a deep interaction between an organism and its environment. This is due, in part, to the prevailing notion of an innate genetic clock. According to this theory, our bodies run on a preset schedule determined by our genes, with light serving only to set the clock. However, this view was challenged by Professor Frank A. Brown. He argued against the concept of a genetic clock, presenting evidence to suggest that our bodies are more responsive to our environment than previously thought. Despite his findings, the scientific community was reluctant to change their stance. This reluctance can be traced back to the philosophical idea proposed by Leibniz that everything in the world runs on its own inner clock without needing to perceive its surroundings. This idea resonated with the scientific community as it encapsulated the belief that all knowledge is contained within our genes, and therefore our bodies do not interact significantly with our environment. This philosophy has greatly influenced the research on the biology of light cycles, leading to a narrow understanding of how light affects our health and hormones. But what if light has a broader impact on our health than we think? What evidence do we have to support this idea? So if light has a broader impact on our health than we think, what evidence do we have to support it? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this intriguing topic in the next scene. In my journey from the vibrant sun of Mexico to the slightly less radiant climates of Montana and Oregon, I observed some compelling alterations in my health and well-being. I discovered that my body went through an unexpected transformation in Montana's spring season, a shedding of body hair. This evoked a question. Could there be a link between light exposure and the functioning of our bodies? And I wasn't alone in this curious discovery. Numerous fellow students who had shifted to Eugene, a city often swathed in clouds, found themselves facing chronic health challenges after only a few months of residing in the city's budget-friendly basement accommodations. Young women, at the peak of their health upon arrival, began to exhibit symptoms of premenstrual syndrome, arthritis, or colitis during their first winter in Eugene. This led me to form a theory. Could the dearth of bright light be causing a progesterone deficiency, allowing estrogen and prolactin to proliferate unchecked? This could potentially explain the sudden onset of these health problems. I started referring to these phenomena as winter sickness. Eventually, I came to identify this condition as the pathology of estrogen dominance, because of the prevalence of premenstrual syndrome and fertility issues that seem to worsen seasonally. As part of my teaching in endocrinology at the National College of Naturopathic Medicine, I started emphasizing the impact of light on our health. I even proposed a radical idea. What if medicine could be restructured around these estrogen-related processes? Consider this. If Times Square's sparrows mate in winter due to the ever-present lights, could bright artificial light have a similar regulating effect on human hormones? This speculation led to a fascinating experiment in our University of Oregon lab. Our hamsters, despite residing in temperature-controlled labs with artificial light cycles, still tried to hibernate. This suggested that they too were from chronic light deprivation, likely increasing their sensitivity. Being exposed to these experiences sparked a curiosity in me. Is there a connection between light, hormones, and health? Perhaps we are missing a crucial aspect in comprehending the human body and its intricate operations. Now, let's switch gears a bit and talk about some practical steps you can take, manage your light exposure, and potentially improve your health. We'll discuss the significance of absorbing enough natural light, tips to adjust your indoor lighting, and even introduce some apps that can assist you in monitoring your light exposure. It's not just personal experiences that suggest a connection between light and health. Scientific studies also show intriguing results. Let's dive into the studies that have shed light on this fascinating connection. A key player in this story is a hormone called progesterone. Progesterone, along with estrogen and prolactin, plays a crucial role in women's health. But bright light, or the lack thereof, can disrupt the delicate balance between these hormones. Consider a study conducted in the cloud-covered city of Eugene, where many students living in dimly lit basement apartments developed chronic health issues within a few months of their arrival. Healthy women began experiencing premenstrual syndrome, arthritis, and colitis during their first winter there. The common thread? A lack of bright light, leading to a deficiency in progesterone, and leaving estrogen and prolactin unopposed. This isn't an isolated case. Other research has shown that the absence of bright light can lead to what's known as estrogen dominance pathology. This refers to a condition where estrogen levels in the body are excessively high in relation to progesterone, leading to a range of health issues. But it's not just humans who are affected. In our lab at the University of Oregon, even hamsters tried to hibernate in temperature-controlled laboratories with regular cycles of artificial light. The ceiling lights provided only dim illumination inside their cage boxes, putting them in a chronic state of light deprivation. This observation led to the realization that light deprivation doesn't just affect the sleep cycle. It can influence an organism's entire physiological chemistry. It disrupts the balance of hormones, affecting everything from mood to fertility. Consider the sparrows of Times Square. These birds mate in winter, which is unusual for their species. The reason? The bright artificial lights of Times Square trick their bodies into thinking it's spring, the usual mating season for sparrows. This is a clear example of how light can regulate hormones even in non-human species. Yet, for years, the scientific community was reluctant to accept these findings. They held on to the idea of an innate genetic clock that runs independent of the environment. This clock, they argued, was located in a few cells in a certain area of the brain. Nervous impulses from the retina, they said, only had the small privilege of setting the clock, but the evidence was stacking up. Frank A. Brown, a professor, had long ago disproved this idea of an innate genetic clock. His work, along with that of many others, has shown that organisms interact deeply with their environments. Light, it turns out, plays a significant role in this interaction. These studies suggest that light has a profound impact on our health and hormones. But what can we do about it? Now that we understand the impact of light on our health, let's dive into some of its practical applications. Let's delve deep into how this knowledge can be used to our benefit. For instance, the unusually timed mating season of the sparrows in Times Square, usually attributed to the bright artificial lights, indicates that light has a significant role in hormone regulation. Could we possibly use artificial light to balance our own hormones? Might we be able to manage certain health issues linked to hormonal imbalances by adjusting our light exposure? Consider the case of women who relocated to cloudy Eugene and experienced chronic health problems shortly after. Could their health troubles, which varied from premenstrual syndrome to arthritis and colitis, be due to inadequate bright light, causing a progesterone shortage and leaving estrogen and prolactin unchecked? Could these ailments be lessened or even averted by ensuring sufficient exposure to bright light? Furthermore, our with hamsters at the University of Oregon revealed intriguing findings. Even in temperature-controlled laboratories with regular cycles of artificial light, these hamsters would try to hibernate. Their dim cage lighting indicated a chronic state of light deprivation. Could this have amplified their sensitivity to light deprivation? Could their behavior be modified by increasing the amount of light they receive? These observations and experimental results provide captivating revelations about the potential uses of our understanding of the link between light and health. They hint that by adjusting our light exposure, we may be able to manage hormones and potentially alleviate specific health problems. However, more research and experimentation are necessary to fully comprehend the implications and uses of these findings. Therefore, the next time you flip on a light, keep in mind that it's not just lighting up your environment, but might also be influencing your health. We've traveled a fascinating path, uncovering the hidden influence of light on our health. We've delved into personal experiences like the intriguing springtime shedding of body hair in Montana and the onset of winter sickness among new residents in cloudy Eugene. We've also explored compelling scientific studies that challenge the traditional theory of an innate genetic clock, introducing instead the profound connection between our bodies and the light cycles in our environment. The practical implications of these findings are vast, from the potential reorganization of medicine around light-related processes to the use of bright artificial light in regulating human hormones. We've seen how even in a controlled lab environment, hamsters tried to hibernate, indicating a chronic state of light deprivation. With this newfound understanding, we can better navigate our health in relation to the light in our environment. After all, knowledge is power.